besties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Hallie and I'm so happy that you're here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all the books that I want to try and read by the end of this year. I feel like I made my list very ambitious, but genuinely all of these books I'm like so interested in, and I really hope to get to these by the end of this year. We still have a few months. We have 3 months. Why was that just so hard for me to figure out? We have 3 months before the end of the year, and I feel like if I stay in the reading mode that I'm currently in, I'll be able to get to most or all of these, because I honestly have been kind of popping off, you guys. I feel like I've gotten into a really good flow of like either listening to audiobooks while I'm cleaning or audiobooking the same book that I'm reading to help if I'm having like a really hard focus day with my ADHD. And also I just am like out of my slump, so I'm just a lot more interested in reading again, thank God, because this summer I went through like the biggest slump of my life, I feel like. But we are back on it and we are going to finish out the year strong. I am so excited to get to all these books, hopefully in the fall and winter this year. But before we get any farther into today's video, I do want to take a second and thank BB Outlet by Bellesa for sponsoring today's video. As you probably know, I have worked with Bellesa before on my channel. I love them so much. All of their products are made with high quality and body safe materials. While Bellesa offers luxury pleasure products at luxury price points, they also understand that premium level products are not accessible to a lot of people. So because accessibility to pleasure is their top priority, Bellesa actually created BB Outlet. With BB Outlet, they have created a massive catalog of all of their fan favorite toys at a fraction of industry standard prices. And today, BB Outlet and I are giving away free toys to absolutely everyone. All you have to do is click the link down in my description box to claim your free vibrator. They were actually kind enough to send me over this huge package full of goodies, so I want to do a little haul of some of the things that they sent over that are also available on the BB Outlet website. First of all, I have to say I love this packaging, and also I feel like this is so discreet. Like you would never know what's in here. Oh my god, this is so cute. Hold on. It literally looks like a bottle of nail polish. So this one is called the BB Polish. The description of this one says, the rose toy walked so that polish could run right into your nightstand. The power on this suction vibrator is out of this world. It is a discreet suction toy that will blend right in with your nightstand. All you do is pop the cap off of your polish and it reveals a suction toy with 5 different speeds. And I do want to mention that all of these are waterproof and rechargeable. Such a good price for a high quality and discreet little vibrator. Next, we have the BB AirPod Pro. So this is described to be a perfect beginner-friendly toy that can easily be stashed away or brought when traveling. This has 5 different pattern modes as well as 5 different speeds for suction and tapping. Wait, this one's so cute. This is the Palm Pilot. The description of this one is, it is a clip vibrator with a hand strap that fits perfectly into your palm. It features both suction and tapping functions. And this one as well, you can remove the top to reveal a tapping function or put the top on for the suction function. And I will say, honestly, it is really comfortable with the strap. So this is the BB Air Pouch. It is described as a mini, travel-friendly, and powerful pocket vibrator with suction and tapping functions. I really like this one because it comes in a little case, and I think that this one said it has a travel lock as well. So if you don't want it to accidentally turn on in your bag, you can lock it so that it's travel-friendly. This one has vibrating suction and tapping as well. These are all so cute and tiny. I love them so much. If you would like a free vibrator, make sure to click the link down in my description box to claim yours. Absolutely everyone will get one. And a huge thank you again to BB Outlet for sponsoring today's video. So I have divided all the books that I want to read by the end of this year out into genre categories. I just felt like that made sense. So the first genre that I want to start out with obviously is fantasy. Fantasy has been my biggest read genre, I feel like. I don't know statistically if that's correct, but I feel like I have really been gravitating towards fantasy, and especially going into the fall and winter, I just feel like now is my time to shine. So I feel like majority fantasies on this list, but I did include some thrillers as well as a couple of romances too, but we're gonna start out with the fantasy. The first 3 fantasy books that I have on my list, I don't have the physical copy of yet. I will probably be buying a physical copy of these at some point, but I just don't own them yet. And also, these are not in any particular order. I just made this list and that's it. So no special order or anything. This is just how how the list came out. So the first one that I have is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. This one I kind of want to go into a little bit blind because I have recently read The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, as well as the little novella that goes between them, Six Scorched Roses. All three of those were 5 stars for me. I really feel like Carissa Broadbent is going to be one of my go-to authors for fantasy. This is the first book in a trilogy that she had written before The Serpent and the Wings of Night that I have heard honestly nothing but great things about, so I'm so excited about it, and that's what kind of makes me want to go into it blind because I really feel like I'm gonna like it and I don't really need to know that much about the book to feel interested enough to go into it. I am gonna read the first sentence off of the Goodreads description of it because I feel like from glancing over it, that's like what I already know about the book, and then that way I can kind of like give you guys an idea of what it's about. But it says, a former slave fighting for justice, a reclusive warrior who no longer believes it exists, and a dark magic that will entangle their fates. So I think that it is a enemies to lovers romantasy. I feel like the romance is a pretty big part of the story, like from what I've heard from other people, and if it's like the enemies to lovers in The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I feel like I will absolutely love it because that was truly one of the best enemies to lovers romances I have read in a fantasy. I love that duology so much. Hello, it's me. I am currently editing this video and I realized I forgot to put one of the most important new releases that I want to read by the end of the year, and I can't not include it. It is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. This is going to be the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. It's technically following 2 different characters than the first duology is, so I think it's going to be 3 sets of interconnected duologies. It's kind of confusing. It's going to be 6 main books total, each with a novella in between, and 3 sets of characters, I think. I don't know, but I am so excited for this book. I feel like there's no way it's not going to be 5 stars because, like I said, the first duology and the novella were all 5 stars for me. Literally obsessed, like one of my all-time favorite fantasy series, and the main character that this next little set is following, I already love her, so I'm so excited for that. So anyway, had to include that here. Let's move on. The next one we have is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is by V.E. Schwab. I've never read a V.E. Schwab book before, and honestly, all the books that I've seen by V.E. Schwab look very intimidating, but I really feel like I will love this story. I know that a lot of people, it's like 50-50 if they like it. Some people think it's like really boring, and then some people think it's like a 5-star, one of the best books they've ever read. I feel like I'll be on that end, but you never know until you read the book. So I really want to read this. I really want to buy the illustrated version of this book. I think it's so beautiful. Not only just like the cover and the edges, but also just like the artwork on the inside of the book, obviously, because it's illustrated. So I will probably be purchasing the illustrated version at some point. I think it's just so beautiful. I will read the description for this one on Goodreads because I feel like I already know a lot about this book and I'm not necessarily trying specifically to go into it super blind. So this says, France 1714, in a moment of desperation, a young woman makes a bargain to live forever and is cursed to be forgotten by everyone she meets. Thus begins the extraordinary life of Addie LaRue, and a dazzling adventure that will play out across centuries and continents, across history and art, as a young woman learns how far she will go to leave her mark on the world. But everything changes when, after nearly 300 years, Addie stumbles across a young man in a hidden bookstore and he remembers her name. I'm so excited to read that one. I really feel like I will love it. I feel like if I tried to read this when I first started reading, maybe I wouldn't have, but I feel like now is the right time. So very excited to read that. Also, I feel like it doesn't fully fit in the fantasy genre, but on Goodreads it says the genres are fantasy fiction, romance, and historical fiction. So I don't know. The last one that we have that I don't already own is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If you don't know, this is a prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I love the Hunger Games so much, and I really wanted to read this when it first came out, but I just had so many other books that I wanted to get to that it ended up getting moved down the list. And recently I've been rewatching the Hunger Games movies, and it's really made me want to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, especially because Suzanne Collins just announced recently that she is going to be putting out another book called, I think it's Sunrise on the Reaping, and that is going to be the story of Haymitch's games, which I am so excited for that. I feel like I've said this before, but I wasn't a huge reader as a kid, and the only stories that I have, I feel like, are Harry Potter, which I didn't even read the books. Like, I just have been obsessed with the movies. They are genuinely my personality. Like, I rewatch them all of the time, so I do want to read those books as well. I don't know when I'll get to those, but my like childhood stories are Twilight. I love Twilight. I will love Twilight forever. I will never stop loving Twilight. Hunger Games and Harry Potter. Those are like my big three. Even though they're my only three, they're my big three. And so I want like every edition of those books. I love them so much. They are my childhood, and especially like becoming a reader as an adult, I have like those three series to hold on to from my childhood, and that's it. I don't know where I was going with this. I'm really excited for the next book, and it made me want to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes as an adult and then reread The Hunger Games as an adult as well, because I haven't read them since probably like my junior year in high school. I think my junior or senior year, I think was the last time that I read the series. And then that way when the next book comes out, it's like fresh in my mind. So definitely want to read that, hopefully before the end of the year. The next one that we have is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This I think is more of like a science fiction fantasy. This is extremely popular and honestly a little bit intimidating, but I finally have been convinced by my bestie James. He loves this series and he's in the middle of it, and he is like, it is ruining reading for me because nothing compares to this after you read it. So that is a little bit intimidating, but I feel like I will love this. I read the first couple pages with Marky the other night and both of us were like, this sounds so good already. So I think I'm gonna get Mark to read this with me. Let me know if you'd want like a buddy reading vlog. I don't know if any of you would like that, but I could like buddy read it with Mark and then make a vlog out of it maybe. But this one I want to go into blind, so I'm not gonna read the synopsis. All I know about it is it's set in the future and it's in this world where the tiers of society are based off of, I think, what color clothes you wear or something. And so if you look at the books, like each book is a different color, I think, like red, gold. Those are the only two I know. I literally don't know anything about this, but it's set in like way in the future. It's like in a whole different kind of society. And I think it is about someone from the lower levels like sneaking into the higher levels and causing trouble. I don't know, but I'm very excited to read this. I think I'm going to love it, and I think it will rip me to shreds, and sometimes that's exactly what you need. So the next two books that I have are Crown of Midnight and The Assassin's Blade. This is book 2 and 3. This is technically book, I think, 0.5 in the series, but I am going to be reading it third in the series. There's a whole thing. Everyone is telling me, read it first, read it third. And then I finally decided to just do a poll and ask you guys what order I should read it in. And it was decided that I would start with Throne of Glass, then read Crown of Midnight, and then Assassin's Blade. My goal is to get at least 3 books into the Throne of Glass series by the end of the year. That way next year, my chances of finishing the whole series are much higher. I would love to get honestly even farther than 3 books in, but I have this thing where I set my goals way too high and then I'm constantly disappointed because I never hit my goals. So I'm setting the goal at just to finish the first 3 books in the Throne of Glass series by the end of this year. I have not finished Throne of Glass yet at the time that I'm filming this, but I will have it done within the next week. So very excited to get farther in the story. I'm already really loving it, and I went into Throne of Glass completely blind. This is not a review video, but I went into it completely blind and I'm really loving it so far. That's all I'll say. The next 2 books that I have are actually the last 2 books in the Folk of the Air trilogy. So far I have read The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. I am loving this series so much and I'm so excited to finish it out. I actually think that I want to end up getting the hardcover versions for this entire series, especially because my copy of The Cruel Prince was missing like 6 pages. It was just blank. So would love to get the hardcovers for honestly all of Holly Black's books. I really feel like this is another author that I discovered this year that is going to be a go-to author for fantasy, especially this being YA fantasy. I feel like I am finding it kind of harder and harder to really connect and relate and like get invested in YA books. So like her and Lauren Roberts are 2 YA fantasy authors that I am absolutely loving, and I'm so excited to get into these, especially this book because the artwork is just beautiful. Like throughout the entire book there's so many little illustrations. Like that is so cool. I honestly wish every single book came with illustrations like this because that's just so cool. So yeah, those are the next 2 books. I want to just finish the Folk of the Air trilogy. I do plan on going to Holly Black's, what's it called, like her backlist or whatever, like all of the books that she has written before this, and I want to read all of those as well as the series that comes after the Folk of the Air trilogy. I think it's just a duology that comes after that, but I'm absolutely loving Holly Black's writing and now I want to read everything that she's ever written. written. So moving on to the last two fantasies on my list. First, we have Dance of Thieves. This is a book that literally has been on my TBR, I think since I very first got into reading last October. So we're really coming full circle here back in October. This again is a book that I would like to go into specifically blind. All I know about this is that the writing is, I guess, very beautiful lyrically. Like I remember when I was reading Powerless and I was like, this I just feel like is one of the most beautifully written books. Like the things that the characters were saying were just so beautiful, you know? I was just like, I never knew words could be this beautiful. That's like what I kept thinking. Like, I don't know, it was just beautiful. And so a bunch of you guys were like, oh my god, if you like that, please read Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. I know for a lot of people, they consider this the blueprint for enemies to lovers romantasy. So I am very, very, very excited to get to this. This book has intimidated me for a very long time, but like I was saying before, I feel like with books, it's like when they intimidate you for a long time and then randomly you just feel like it's the right time, like the time is now. I feel like you have to take advantage of that, and I just feel like it's the right time for me to read this book. So Dance of Thieves, maybe I'll read Vow of Thieves by the end of the year as well if I end up really liking this. Not sure. Lastly, we have Six of Crows by Lee Dubargo. I always say Dubargo. What is wrong with me? Lee Bardugo. It's honestly embarrassing. Lee Dubargo and Stephen King, for some reason, those are the two names. Every single time I read Stephen King, I read it as Stefan. And then I want so badly to say Stephen out loud, even though I know it's Stephen King. I'm always like, yeah, Stephen King. Love his books. Never read any yet, by the way. And I'm over here calling him Stephen and Lee Dubargo. This is the first book in a duology, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo. I, again, don't really know much about this book. Don't really want to. All I know is I think that this is a kind of found family-esque type of vibe. I think it brings together a bunch of different thieves or something like that, and they have to work together to pull off a heist. I don't know, but people say this book is very, 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 very good. So trusting everyone on this and trusting all of you who have been in my comments since I started this book and read like 2 chapters and then never picked it up again to finish it. I'm gonna try. So those are all of the fantasies that are on my to be read by the end of the year list. I feel like honestly, it's not too crazy. Like I feel like that is very doable. Moving on to a couple of mystery thrillers that I would love to get to by the end of the year. The first one that I put on here is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder last year. I rated it 5 stars. It was so good, especially again for a YA. It was amazing. Definitely thrilling. The mystery was so good. The plot was so good. I loved the writing. Just amazing. So good. Like it literally had me gagged. So I'm very excited to get farther into the story. A lot of people in my comments have said that it literally just gets better and better and better. So I'm really, really intrigued to read the second one and see if I agree that it is better than the first. I really can't imagine how it could be better than the first because the first was so good, but we'll see. The next one I have is actually another Holly Jackson book that I have wanted to read since it came out. It is called 5 Survive. This one, I believe, follows a group of friends and they are going on a road trip. And I think either their car breaks down on like a back road in the middle of the night or something happens to where they get stranded on this road that is like desolate in the middle of the night, and they either start disappearing or something like that. And the entire course of this book takes place over 24 hours. Again, I have heard really great things about this one, that it's super fast paced, super entertaining, the plot is really good, thrilling. So very excited for this, and I feel like all these thrillers are just the perfect vibe going into like spooky season. I'm so ready to read more thrillers. I've really been in my fantasy thriller mood lately. The next one that I have is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Again, this is another, I feel like all these, I'm like, I've been wanting to read these forever. It's because I literally went off the rails whenever I became a reader. I bought like 50 billion books and then I had to put myself in timeout, and I've been reading only from my TBR. So it feels like I've just had these books forever, which I have, and I'm glad that I'm getting to them. This is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. On the back it says, an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island. The bride, the +1, the best man, the wedding planner, and the bridesmaid. All have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. That sounds so good, and I love the setting that they give on the cover. I'm so excited to read this. I've never read a Lucy Foley book. Wait, That's such a lie. I read, what is it called? I literally rated it 5 stars. I can see the cover in my mind. It's like a white cover with red writing. Rock, Paper, Scissors. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, literally rated it 5 stars. And I'm over here saying, I've never read an Alice Feeney book before. No, I'm actually just a liar. I'm really excited to read this. I really enjoyed Rock, Paper, Scissors. I loved her writing in that. I thought the story was very entertaining. I didn't see the plot twist coming. It was definitely thrilling. Like there was times where I was like, honestly, a little bit scared. So I have very high hopes for this. I feel like I might even like it a little bit better than Rock, Paper, Scissors, because looking back on it, sometimes after I read thrillers, like if I don't guess the plot, I'm like, 5 stars, because I'm a very like vibes based rater. If I had a good time, the chances of you being in like a 4.5 5-star range are pretty high, and I think that's okay. The last thriller that I have here is Daisy Darker. Another. Am I literally stupid? I think Rock, Paper, Scissors is actually by Alice Feeney. Okay, hold on. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I have not read a Lucy Foley book. I was talking about Alice Feeney. I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I am still really excited to read The Guest List. I just don't know what I'm thinking about the authors. Like, why did I think that was the same person? You know why? I think it's because their covers always look so similar. Like, the writing is literally so similar. These look like they could be by the same author. Anyway, Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I have wanted to read this one for the longest time. I literally just didn't have time to read it last October, and then I kind of like fell out of a thriller mood and I moved on to kind of like romances, and then I entered romantasy and never looked back, but I feel like now is her time to shine again. This one says, after years of avoiding one another, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. They're finally back together one last time, and when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. And then at the stroke of midnight, as a storm rages, Nana is found dead. An hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must... Oh, their last name is Darker. That's interesting. The Darkers must reckon with their present mystery as well as their past secrets before the tide goes out and all is revealed. With a wicked wink to Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, Daisy Darker's unforgettable twist will leave readers reeling. I'm so excited to read this one. Honestly, just talking about those thrillers makes me want to do like a thrillers only reading vlog going into October. I feel like that would be so much fun. Should I do that? Those are all of the thrillers that are on my to be read list for the end of the year. The last little section that I have is romance. I feel like I haven't been in my romance era for a while. And honestly, I feel like my brain is all different. Like I feel like I see everyone talking about how summertime is the time for romances and like rom-coms and all this stuff. And literally all summer, all I wanted to read was thrillers and fantasy. And I don't know if it's because I hate the summer and I thrive in the fall and winter. So like maybe reading those romanticities and thrillers and stuff was kind of putting me in the fall mindset to kind of escape from the hell of summer that I live in Arizona every single year. Then when fall and winter comes around, especially like December and January, I love reading romances that are like set in the summer. I don't know what that's about. I'm completely backwards, but I have a couple of romances that I'm very excited to get to. The first one comes out in just a few days, and I don't know what this was. That was really weird. Anyway, the first one that I'm going to talk about comes out in just a few days, and I'm so excited for it. It is The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. This is the 3rd book in the, I think it's called the Vancouver Storm series. The first 2 books are Behind the Net and The Fake Out. I rated both of those 5 stars. I love them so much. They're hockey romances. I feel like the MMCs in the first 2 books are just like amazing. They're just amazing. I love them both so much, especially Rory Miller. I heart Rory Miller. Get it tattooed on my forehead. That book was amazing. I liked the second one more than the first, but they were both 5 stars for me. Just super quick and easy. I don't know. I just loved them. And so I have very high hopes for the 3rd book to come out. I feel like I'm gonna love the 2 characters that it's gonna follow. Yeah. So excited, and the cover is so cute. I'm very excited to read that. They're all available on Kindle Unlimited, but I will be purchasing a physical copy. I do really want to buy the rest of her backlist as well in physical form because I just love her writing. And I believe that all of her books, actually I don't know if all her books are sports romances. I've only read the first 2, so I'm not sure, but love her writing. The next romance that I have on here is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I haven't bought it yet, but I want to to buy it. I had the Friend Zone on my TBR for September and I didn't end up getting to it, not because I didn't want to, I just, some other romanticies ended up taking priority. But so many people have been raving about Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, saying it's her best book yet. It's so good and the cover is so beautiful. I really just want to read it, and it's another one of those things where I just feel like the timing would be good for me to read that. Like, I don't know why, I just have a feeling that now is the time. So I would love to read that. I think that one, let me look it up just to make sure because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'm pretty sure I know what that one is about. Okay, yeah, this is what I thought it was about. Okay, so it says, Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second that they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other's out, and then they'll both go on to find the loves of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, and it might just work. How do you even think of that? That's honestly kind of like a crazy idea. It kind of is giving me the same feeling as like when I read the synopsis for Funny Story. I'm just like, it's about what? Like, it's about what? How did you even think of that? But it sounds very interesting, and apparently a lot of people are saying that even though you think it's going to be a cute, fun summer rom-com, it has a lot of emotional depth, and I really love that. I have read 2 of Emily Henry's books, and it definitely gives me that same feeling of going in and it starting off kind of like cute rom-com vibes, and by the end of it you're like crying because you're like, why is this hitting me so deeply emotionally? I don't know. I love that. The next one that I have is Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Springs series, I think. I read the first 2 books in the Chestnut Springs series, I think last winter and early spring. So because I read those in that time frame, it just feels right for me to read the next ones at the end of the year as well. I don't know. But the Chestnut Springs series is a small town cowboy romance. All of the MMCs in these books are part of a family that like has a ranch together, and it's honestly really cute. I have not rated any of them 5 stars yet, but they have all been 4 stars or above. Like, very, very cute, very enjoyable. I love the romance in them. I'm very interested to see if any of them will be 5-star reads for me, because so many people like love the Chestnut Springs series as a 5-star series, and I feel like it's a very good series. I would definitely recommend it, but none of them have been 5 stars for me yet. So I am patiently waiting to see if any of the books in the series will be 5 stars for me. But I have high hopes for this one because it is following Jasper, and I feel like from what I've seen about Jasper, I'm gonna love him. He's a hockey player, so he already has that going for him. Very, very, very excited to read this one. The whole time I was reading the first 2 books, I literally was like, I can't wait to get to book 3. So maybe this will end up being my 5-star book. Who knows? The last 2 books that I have are 2 Emily Henry books. I have Beach Read and then Book Lovers. I have very high expectations for these books. I read Funny Story last year, and then I recently read Happy Place. 5 stars, both of them. Happy Place is actually now, I think, my new favorite romance, which is saying a lot. It was just so good. I said it in the video where I read those 2 books, but I genuinely think about Funny Story every single day, and since then it's become the same thing with Happy Place. Like, just little random things will remind me of it, and it just makes me so happy. Happy Place especially, I just felt that. Honestly, it's like a 6-star read for me. It was so good. I saw that some people really didn't like Happy Place and thought that it was like one of her worst books. We're gonna have to disagree. I mean, I've only read one other one, but still 6 stars. So I'm very excited to read Beach Read and Book Lovers. This one I believe is about 2 authors. It says Augustus, I think everyone calls him Gus, so that's cutie. It says Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Oh my gosh, I remember this. So they have writer's block and then they agree to like switch genres and write a story. That sounds so cute. I'm so excited to read this one. And then this one, I actually started like 2 years ago. I will probably be restarting from the beginning because I like don't remember what I read. But this one says, Nora's life is books. She's read them all and she's not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved little sister, Libby, which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina, for the month of August when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics and meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute, if not for the fact that they've met many times and it's never been cute. That sounds so cute. I'm so excited to read these. I have such high hopes. Maybe I should lower my expectations so I'm not so like harsh on these. I mean, I'm never harsh. It really doesn't take much to impress me. I don't know. I'm so excited to read these. I feel like I'm going to love these. I wonder if they'll be 5 stars. That would be kind of crazy because both Happy Place and Funny Story have been 5 stars for me. Like, what are the chances that they're all 5 stars? Pretty low, right? Like, that's kind of crazy. I don't know. So these are all of the books that I am hoping to read by the end of this year. I feel like seeing them all together looks kind of crazy, but I feel like it's doable. And I'm very excited for all of these books, especially like talking about them. It has made me so excited about them and like reignited that spark that I have with all these books. And I'm so excited to finish them. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future content. I will most likely be making reading vlogs for most, if not all of these books throughout the rest of this year, and I would love to have you with me. Also, before you go, don't forget that BB Outlet and I are giving away free toys to absolutely everyone, so make sure to go click the link in my description to claim your free vibrator. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know some of the books that you have on your end of the year TBR down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!